An operational planning staff exercise was recently held as a part of Super Garuda Shield 2023. The two-week U.S. Army Pacific-sponsored exercise focused on military planning in a combined joint environment at the operational level.
Super Garuda Shield is the United States' largest military exercise with Indonesia, and it strengthens the U.S.-Indonesian bilateral relationships through planning, training, and exercising together. This is the 17th iteration of Garuda Shield, incorporating Army, Navy, Air Force from 14 nations, focusing on interoperability between our nations and building trust between militaries.
The first 3 days of the StaffX were spent in a series of academic presentations from the Institute for Security Governance, the TNI, the Australian Defence Forces, the United Kingdom Defence Forces, the U.S. military, and the Hawaii National Guard. Topics discussed during the academic portion of the exercises started with each partner presenting their capabilities, planning philosophy, and guiding principles, then moved on to discussions on joint operations, intelligence, strategy, and the defense continuum.
We have our own way of planning in the UK. It is actually very similar to the Australian way, and there are lots of similarities to the American way, and I'm sure to the TNI way. However, there are differences in structure, and also the differences in my personal experience coming from our emerging soft capability as well. So I think all of that comes together and just offers a different perspective. In terms of the joint side of things, we've had some really good reinforcement of actually very similar doctrines. So I've understood that we have a lot of similarities and a few small differences, but mostly in naming. Actually, what I think is a big learning point for me is how the US and TNI relationship works together and how defence engagement works in this way. It's a brilliant environment for partners, allies to come together and work and build those relationships. So actually, I think it's almost the defence engagement side that I've learned most from so far.
As the exercise progressed, the format of the engagements shifted from academics to more tangible mission analysis, course of action, or COA development, and wargaming.
Well, the Australian Defence Forces recently finished its own exercise, Talisman Sabre, in which we were very fortunate to be joined by militaries from the United States and Indonesia. It's personally and professionally rewarding to now have the opportunity to be invited here to return the favour and to be part of Exercise Super Garuda Shield. I think that our militaries are more similar than they are different, but it's the differences that have really allowed us to learn and grow from each other, and I consider this to be an incredibly mutually beneficial activity.
Transition from each phase was marked by a series of presentations to Major General Jared P. Helwig, Commanding General 8th Theater Sustainment Command, and Admiral Eddy, Commander Kormata II, TNI. Each would then ask questions and assess the viability of the plans presented.
And the planning that you do over the next days will be essential to that effort. I'm excited to see what this great joint and coalition staff has to do in planning. I'm confident that you have the tools to do it, and looking forward to building this into something that we can execute.
While the intent of Super Garuda Shield 2023 Operational Planning StaffX was to improve the understanding of the combined joint planning process, the relationships that are built while performing the joint staff functions is one of the key things that mark a successful StaffX.
Sometimes at the tactical level, at the squadrons and the groups, they don't get to have this experience in a planning higher level interaction with our Indonesian counterparts. So I hope to bring some of the knowledge I gain here with our interactions so that in case they have to turn around and come back to do something similar, they have a baseline preparation and know what to expect.
This is the second year that the TNI and the U.S. Indo-PACOM have addressed the COGOB-Wilhelm concept in the operational level of planning. The COGOB-Wilhelm is analogous to the U.S. Department of Defense combatant commands. The exercise builds on the success and lessons learned from previous year's exercise Garuda Shield and Gemma Bhakti, which have since evolved into what is now the second iteration of Super Garuda Shield. The 20-plus Hawaii National Guard soldiers and airmen in the training audience provided subject matter expertise throughout Super Garuda Shield 2023 Operational Planning Staff Exit, as they have been executing planning exercises Gemma Bhakti over the previous 10 years.
The uniqueness of the State Partnership Program to the National Guard allows the goals and objectives for the Secretary of Defense, for our national security strategy, to really nest into the fact that We develop the relationships with our partners and work together on the goals and objectives that each of our nations have for peace in the region, peace across the world. If certainly that would be the wish that we all have. But I think through the state partnership program, the uniqueness of it being administered through the National Guard allows us to have these lifelong experiences with our partners, in that we don't get moved around the country or the world like our active duty counterparts do, but instead most of us have remained in the Hawaii National Guard over a long period of time, and those of us that are fortunate enough to participate over multiple years have the chance of serving alongside their partners over time. So I think the uniqueness of not just having this experience at this time, but instead piecing it together across a long period of time really makes the strength of the state partnership program and actually strengthens our military to military connections, because we all, at the end of the day, we face similar natural disasters, we face similar military challenges, and we're able to share in those experiences over time.
This is Master Sergeant Andrew Lee Jackson reporting with the Hawaii National Guard in Surabaya, Indonesia.